Rene Miller from Smooth Jazz 101, Smooth Jazz 100, and I am so happy to be here. The City of Atlanta's Mayor's Office of Cultural Affairs is thrilled to introduce a brand new series. It's called In the Tradition. Now, this series introduced Atlantans and jazz aficionados everywhere throughout the country, all around the world, to the 2021 Atlanta Jazz Festival artists. Now, it started this month, April, which is Jazz Appreciation Month, and it's going to be running on Tuesday evenings until the start of this year's Jazz Festival this fall. Now, I'm really happy to introduce to some, and some of us know her well, Brenda Nicole Moorer. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
You know what? I have just got to tell everybody, I got to tell some business. First of all, you are glowing.
Thank
You
you.
just had a baby three
Yes,
days ago.
3 days ago.
Unbelievable. I mean, you're glowing. Your face is just wonderful. You
Thank
look
you.
great. Congratulations to you.
Thank you
Now,
so much.
what did you have?
I had a boy. Yes.
And his
I'm so
name?
thrilled. It's Maxwell.
Oh, love that.
Baby
Maxwell. Okay.
Maxwell.
Yeah, so I'm sure we're going to keep you for a little bit and we'll get you back to Maxwell pretty soon here.
Okay.
But you know what? We actually got an opportunity to meet each other last year
Mhm.
during one of the Atlanta Jazz Festival's events at Woodruff Park, which was
Yeah.
absolutely wonderful. And
Thank you.
that was my first time experiencing Brenda Nicole Moore. And I'm telling you, you're awesome,
Oh, thank you so
awesome
much.
vocalist, and you're so comfortable on stage, and it just seems like you were born to do this, which I think is absolutely great.
Thank you. I've been doing it a long time, so I still get a little nervous when I get on stage, but once I'm up there, I feel really good. It's like
Yeah,
another
well,
hug.
you fit right in there. So take me back to the beginning.
Mhm.
I mean, you're young, so I'm saying, wow, I said, she's comfortable as if this is something that she's always known she wanted to do as far as jazz. Is that how you feel? I mean, tell me when you got started and how.
Yeah, so I come from a whole family of musicians. So I grew up listening to my grandfather and his brothers sing. They had a group called the Esquires in the 60s and once a couple gold records for their hit single Get On Up. And so I grew up around them, and my dad does music. He sings and plays piano. So it's kind of just been rooted in me my whole life. And it wasn't until I was around 11 or 12 that I got the courage to like sing in front of my family because it's a when you're in a musical family they're always
Oh yeah.
making people sing, putting people on the spot, doing different stuff. So I
Oh
was
yeah.
always like, I don't know if I can do it. And then one day I had always been like in my room practicing and practicing, and my mom actually would go to estate sales and she would bring me back cassette tapes, and estate sales would have older jazz music, and so she'd bring me Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, and Natalie Cole, and I'd listen to these cassettes in my room and mimic them, and then eventually I got enough courage to sing, and so I started around 11, 12, and then from there my family just encouraged and pushed me and put me in all the things to try to mold and develop me to be the best that I could be.
Yeah, well, I tell you, you shock me just being in that whole vein and genre of of jazz and the Sarah Vaughns and the Billie Holidays and the Ninas and all that. I mean, you give us all of that on stage, and you leave it all on the stage, which I think is absolutely fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
I've got to ask you, you've gone to SCAD, you went to SCAD, and you've worked with a lot of different artists. So tell us about some of the artists that you work with. I know, but I want everybody else to find out about you.
Yeah. I have been cultivated by Atlanta music scene. So
Okay.
everything from like indie soul artists here, when Yin Yang was Yin Yang before it was Apache, I was very underage singing background for all kinds of, Atlanta soul artists who cultivated me. Kyrie Cabral Simmons, Julie Dexter, Siki Scales, they all took me, and I think I was probably like, I don't know, 15 or something, singing for these groups and different soul artists, and they helped me find my voice and encouraged and supported me. And then eventually, my own music kind of have developed its own sound, and I've gotten to share the stage with Ayers and Booker T. I opened for Incognito. Um, and Mesa, and I've just had some amazing opportunities. But honestly, it's all come from the other musicians in Atlanta supporting and helping to cultivate me to be the artist that I am.
And a lot of people don't realize that the Atlanta music scene is alive and thriving.
Oh yeah.
People are starting to find out that now that Atlanta is the place to be. If you want to cut your teeth on something, you cut your teeth right here. And especially
Mhm.
with the Atlanta Jazz Festival, because that gives
Yeah.
you an opportunity to really get in there and just be introduced to a whole new audience of people. So, congratulations on being selected as one of the artists.
Thank
Um,
you.
Tell me a little bit about your process. I mean, when you write, you compose, and when you're just getting ready to get into that mood, what puts you in that space in order to start creating?
hmm I usually write from feeling or emotion. Like words usually come later. It's usually like a mood. It could be a color. It could be a sound. Um, and I'll usually come up with music first, like, and then put words to what that feels like.
Okay.
Um, I try to let the music write the song for me.
Wow.
I do have a band that takes the ideas that I come up with on guitar. I write a lot on guitar, usually just like lines here and there. And those things have words that come later. Sometimes I don't even know what a song is about until it's done.
Wow.
And then I'm like, oh, that's what I'm writing about. My band is phenomenal. They help to take these ideas from like the initial stage and then mold it into something that's more collaborative and complex and um, just more fleshed out. So I'm super grateful to have the band that I have.
Yeah.
But
Now,
yeah,
is that the same band that I saw last year? Is that is
likely, yeah. They're
okay?
usually all the time. Like my drummer, Jay Marshall, and my pianist, Kenny Banks Jr. They have been with me for 10 years, so they're
Wow.
usually they're usually with me and helping me write, all the music that I come up with. So
And Kenny Banks Jr. is a phenom in
oh
itself.
my
So, for anybody who doesn't know, you working with Kenny and the magic that I'm sure that you all put together is absolutely, I mean, awesome, awesome. Because I know
yeah,
when I was listening, I said, "Wow, she's got a wonderful tone, the pitch, everything is just there. It just comes so natural, and I think that's really fantastic." Now, you've worked with Roy Ayers. You opened for Incognito and Mesa and all those other people. How did that actually feel when you got on stage and you say, "I'm really here"?
surreal. Just kind of trying to take the moment in, but just grateful, happy, excited. They were all so sweet. All of them are so supportive and sweet. They really love to see young artists coming up. So whatever they can do to support, they're always, helping and supporting. So it was amazing, especially for my parents to be there when I opened for Incognito in Mesa. Oh my God, they were over the moon. Like,
Oh, for sure. I mean, that's big stuff, because working with Bluey and that whole he's just a genius in himself. So, just that whole process, I can imagine that would be pretty mind-blowing. But let's talk about 2020 for you. And being in the creative process in 2020, we were in a pandemic, we were closed in, we were, the no music on the scene, how did that whole process work for you? Were you more creative in that time period? Or do you think that you just just there? Or were you continuing to move up?
you know, when it's such a weird thing. I thought that once I had all this time, because I think in 2019 I did like over 100 shows. I
Oh,
was super,
wow.
super busy. So when I had this time, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be great. I'm going to write all this music. I'm going to be so creative and productive. But it actually just kind of became the opposite, but not in a bad way. More in
Okay.
just like I'm gonna sit and reset kind of way. I did realize that I need stimulation to create. Like I think you have to be in love with life. The vitality of life is what artists draw on to create. So I think just sitting in the house every day kind of zapped a little bit of that from me. But I gained peace. So that's a good thing, you know. I think now when I am ready to go back into writing again, I'll be just rejuvenated. But yeah, the
Okay.
year it's been a weird year, but also an amazing year. Like other really awesome things have happened. I think having the opportunity to connect with people through video and online in this kind of way helped me grow my fan base
Hmm.
and get more like directly connected with them in a different way that I wasn't before. And also, yeah, just the experience of doing these live performances, which
Right.
I was fortunate to have a lot of those opportunities come as well. Um, and they're different, when there's not a live audience there. So I know I learned some things about performance and the relationship between the audience and performing, and the relationship between creation and just the vitality of life. So it's been a learning year. I'll say that. It's been a
Okay.
year of learning, rest, transition. Um, and I am ready to write and create.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been interesting, but I think for the good, for the good.
So 2020 was a teaching year,
Yeah,
um, a teachable moment. I think it was for all of us, but I can only imagine from, an artist standpoint is that, it's either one or the other from all the artists that I've spoken with is
yeah,
that, they either created a lot of music or they kind of, sat back and said, okay, what box am I going to be in now? So I
yep,
think that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So tell us what's up for 2021 for you as far as new projects coming up. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I am a recipient of Jazz Roads grant for the tour. So I'll be
Okay.
touring later in the fall, pending COVID, but hopefully it's going to be safe enough to do that. I also just got a grant for New Music USA to create new music during the time of a pandemic. So the concept is to create music that I can perform solo. So I'll be going into writing with just a drummer and just my vocals.
Wow.
And so it'll just be these kind of looping beats and stacked vocals that I'll be able to perform live, like using a looper. So I'm really excited about going into doing that, and hopefully in 2021 I'll have shows with my band. But if there's situations where I'm not able to have the whole band, because of COVID or guidelines, then I'll be able to have this other kind of performance that is more vocal based and drum based. So I'm excited about that. That will be its own little kind of EP, but also a new way for me to perform. So,
Okay. So you have been able to do what a lot of artists are not able to do, and that's to get in and find out. So, what would you tell younger artists that are looking to get into this genre, get into the jazz genre, and do their thing? What
mhm.
what kind of advice would you give them? Because you got in and you got all the way in.
um, I would say it's all based on relationships and learning through these relationships. Everybody is so supportive in Atlanta. That's one of the things I love about our music community. I lived in New York for a time, and I came back. New York was awesome. The musicians that were there were incredible. But I think there's something really special about our Atlanta music scene. Maybe it's because we're Southern and we're just hospitable and friendly.
We're
I don't
just
know.
nice. We're
We're
just
just
nice
nice,
people.
but we all support each other. And I think for any new artists trying to come onto the scene would be meet other artists, communicate, build relationships, because we're all in it to help each other. I think, when one person does a project and bring other artists onto it, it's a win for all of us. And you learn and grow and develop that way. So I think, yeah, making as many connections as you can. I think my success has definitely been due to the relationships and friends that I've made, musician friends who have, cultivated me, taught me, encouraged me, given me opportunities, guided me, on where I should go and maybe you should try this or do this. Um, I think those things are necessary to growth and development, especially for a young artist. So I would say start there. Go meet some other musicians.
That's great advice. And I would give probably the same advice to people that are watching this conversation that actually want to get in. Because, some people feel, that it's hard to get in, but it is all about the relationships. Well,
Mm,
let's talk about the 2021 Atlanta Jazz Festival. What
yeah.
does it feel like to be a part of it? And what can we expect from you in the fall?
I am super excited. I've been going to Atlanta Jazz Festival, every year since forever. And so to be on the lineup is just incredible. I mean, and to share it with all these other amazing artists, it just kind of, I don't know, makes me feel like I did something right. So I'm grateful, so grateful. I'm looking forward to having my full band up there with me. The music that we're going to be performing is from the album that we put out, which happened to be during the pandemic. You know,
Okay.
planning to put out the record, that was not the plan. We didn't want to move the record release because we thought the music that we created was needed during the time, especially during the pandemic. So we still put the record out last fall, and we never got to do live performances of this record in front of a live audience. So we've done some online things, but the Atlanta Jazz Festival will be the first time I think the whole band will come together to perform this music live. And the whole album was very collaborative with all of the musicians in the band. So we're really excited to have this, musical conversation with the audience during the performance.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So how much, I know that you said you did some streaming things, during the pandemic and all of that.
Mhm.
The energy from the audience, how much does that feed you and what you do? Or do you get into just a different kind of headspace where it's just you and just the music together? Or do you feed off of the audience?
I feed off of the audience,
Okay.
definitely. That's what this year being a teachable year, I also act. So
Okay.
it's interesting because when I'm doing the live video live performances,
Hmm.
it's almost like it's more film work. Like there is no
Okay.
audience there. It's just you and the other person, the musician or the other actor. So you're drawing more from that connection and pull, which is like a more intimate relationship than from the energy of the audience of a live performance. It's just different. It's like using two different sides of my brain, honestly. Um,
Okay.
but I, in music, think that having the live audience definitely adds this other element, just like live theater. Like
Right.
live theater and film, they're just two different things. The energy is different. When you're up there performing, it makes you perform in a different way when there is a live audience, as opposed to it just being like this box that you're in. But there's advantages and disadvantages to both, I guess.
Right.
But I think for music and me as an artist, having that live energy is is essential. So,
I know that that feels good to be able to say as an artist. I know how that must feel. But, if I were to ask you to give me 3 words to describe you, what would that be?
oh gosh. Um Creative. Oh wait, just my person or my
I
music?
mean, just any 3 words that if someone said Brenda Nicole Moore, 3 words.
Okay. Kind, warm, creative.
Okay. Now, let's take 3 words and describe your music.
Okay. Um, that's always hard. Folk, jazz, soul.
See there? With those 6 words, everybody knows everything they need to know about you, right?
Yeah.
So, what would you like to share with the audience prior to getting on the the stage this fall? You know, the 2021 Atlanta Jazz Festival. What would you like to share? What people can expect? I mean, we know that they're going to get some new music that hasn't really been out there yet, which is kind of cool. But
Mhm.
what can they really kind of expect from you as an artist?
I think expect a highly energetic, fun, connected show. Um, I love talking to the audience during my performances. So I think expect to have fun, expect to hear some really great compositions and hopefully be moved by the lyrics and inspired and just, yeah, a good time.
You know, one of the things that I really love when I talk to jazz artists, especially, they always use the word inspired because you know that seems to describe every jazz artist. They want you to leave inspired by their music, and I
Yeah.
think that that's, I mean, like way cool just to have that whole process.
Yeah, I think that's the whole reason we make the music, you know, to inspire someone else or connect in some kind of human way to someone else. That's the whole point. So I hope, we get inspired and then we write, we make, and then we hope that that inspires someone else and the cycle keeps going.
Well, you know what? It's been such a pleasure talking to you, but you know, I've got to ask you, who are you listening to right now?
Ooh, I'm listening to Kasha Bonet, who I love. She's an amazing artist if you haven't heard her. Um, oh, what is that lady's name? Kali Uchi, or I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I love her music as well. Um, I've been listening to Chris Bowers, who's
Okay.
doing all kinds of amazing things right now. But yeah, I have everything from like the spectrum is wide, but those are my three that I'm listening to
Those are
right
your
now.
go-tos.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Well, like I said, I know that you've got to get back to little Maxwell. Congratulations again. You are just glowing everywhere. I see it and I'm like, good grief. Talking about, I mean, the comeback queen. That's what I'm going to call you. When we see each other again, I know that because it's been absolutely wonderful talking with you. And
you
I'm
as
looking forward to, you know, seeing you in the fall for the 2021 Atlanta Jazz Festival. Congratulations on being selected. And
thank
I'm glad and honored that I got an opportunity to actually sit and talk with you for a little while and
thank
just find out about your music and find out, you know, what you've been doing and your process and all of that. You've given us some great information, and I'm sure that you've inspired other artists that are looking to be in your place
yeah,
exactly on how to do that. So thank you so much.
thank you. I appreciate it very much.